All right, let's dive into a really critical topic. We're talking about governments, military, high security organizations. How did they get to use the world's most powerful AI without giving away their most sensitive data? Well, there's a blueprint for solving this, and we're going to break it down.
It really all comes down to one massive question. Can you trust a public AI, something like GPT-4, with actual state secrets? Your gut reaction is probably absolutely not. But the thing is, you can't afford not to use these tools. So what do you do? And this isn't just a simple dilemma, a choice between two bad options. No, this is a strategic trilemma. It's a three-way tug of war where no matter which way you pull, you hit a wall. So here's the trap. On one hand, you absolutely have to use the best state-of-the-art models to keep your edge. On the other hand, you have a non-negotiable mandate for total secrecy. And then the third wall hits you. Building your own private version of a GPT-4 is just financially and technologically out of the question. You're completely stuck between a rock and two very, very hard places. This leads us to the first most common reaction people have, which also happens to be a massive fallacy. It's this idea that you can just say, fine, we'll build our own sovereign AI from scratch. And look, the analysis on this is crystal clear. For pretty much any organization, even huge national armies, building one of these models from the ground up isn't just hard, it is financially impossible. And that's not just an opinion, it's a cold, hard fact based on the numbers. Just to give you some perspective, to train a model on the scale of GPT-4, you're looking at a bill of over $100 million. And that's for a single training run, for a model that's already a year old. And it's not slowing down. In fact, it's accelerating like crazy. Projections show that by 2027, training a new top-of-the-line model could cost over $1 billion. $1 billion! This path is just completely unsustainable for anyone except, a handful of trillion-dollar tech companies. And that cost, it isn't just flipping a switch for a training run. A huge chunk of it, the majority, is the specialized hardware, thousands of GPUs that are incredibly expensive and hard to even get your hands on. And the other massive piece of the pie, the elite R&D talent you need to actually build and run these things. We're talking about a massive, ongoing drain of money and resources. So what does that mean? It means the goal itself has to change. The conversation has to pivot. Instead of trying to build one of these giant models from scratch, the entire focus has to shift to securely deploying the incredible models that already exist. Honestly, this is the only realistic way forward.
Okay, so if building is out, what's in? Well, that pivot leads us directly to the core solution, which is a much smarter, tiered strategy. It's an approach that solves the trilemma by recognizing a simple truth. Not all data has the same level of secrecy. And here's the big idea. It's called a tiered hybrid AI architecture. Sounds complex, but the concept is really elegant. Instead of one single solution for everything, you match your AI security model directly to your data's classification level. The same levels organizations like the military have been using for decades. This architecture is really built on three distinct solutions, each with a pretty cool and descriptive name: the secure enclave, the private fortress, and the intelligent airlock. Let's break down what each one does. First up, we have the secure enclave. This is for your confidential and secret data. It lets you tap into the power of the best models, like GPT-4, but through highly secure government-grade cloud environments. The key piece of tech here are things called private endpoints. Think of them as a completely private, sealed tunnel from your network to the AI. Your data never, ever touches the public internet. And this isn't some fantasy. It's already approved for use with certain Department of Defense data. Now, for the really sensitive stuff, the top secret data, you need the private fortress. This is where you take a powerful open-source model and you run it on your own servers in your own building in a completely air-gapped environment. That means zero internet connection, period. This gives you 100% control and data sovereignty. The biggest challenge, though, isn't setting it up, it's the tricky, ongoing work of keeping that offline system updated and patched securely. And when you're building that fortress, you've got a critical choice to make. You could go with a big, powerful model like Llama 3. It's going to give you incredible accuracy and reasoning, perfect for deep, high-stakes intelligence analysis. Or you could opt for a more efficient model like Mixtral. It's built for speed, making it the better choice for real-time tasks where you need answers fast. It's all about picking the right tool for the specific mission.
And that brings us to the third piece of the puzzle, and maybe the most versatile one, the intelligent airlock. Just think of it as a super smart security checkpoint for every single query going to and from your AI. So here's how it works. A user types up a prompt. Before that prompt ever leaves your network, the airlock grabs it. It automatically scrubs any sensitive info, code names, locations, specific data points. Then it sends the clean, sanitized prompt to the AI. And it works on the way back, too. When the AI sends its response, the airlock intercepts it again, scans it to make sure no sensitive info leaked out, and only then does it deliver the safe response to the user. It's a two-way filter. So we have our three solutions, the Enclave, the Fortress, and the Airlock. But they aren't meant to just exist in their own silos. The real power, the real genius of this strategy, is how they all work together. The whole thing works like a hub-and-spoke model. At the center, you have this AI trust layer that acts as the hub, the traffic cop. It figures out who the user is, and most importantly, it identifies the classification level of the data in their query. From there, it intelligently routes the query to the correct spoke, sending it to the secure Enclave or the private Fortress or a public model that's protected by the Airlock. This system enforces a zero-trust policy automatically. And this is where it all clicks into place. Look how clean this is. For your unclassified data, you use the intelligent Airlock for that application-level security. For confidential and secret data, you route it to the secure Enclave for full network isolation. And for the most sensitive, top-secret data, it goes to the private Fortress with its physical air gap. Every tier of data gets a security solution that's perfectly tailored to it. Okay, so the architecture makes a ton of sense. It's an elegant solution. But how do you actually make it happen? Well, the blueprint doesn't just give you the what, it also gives you the how, with a clear, actionable roadmap. There are really 5 key steps to take. First, you have to formally adopt this tiered model as your official strategy. Second, you want to prioritize getting that secure Enclave up and running. Why? Because it delivers the biggest bang for your buck on the most common types of sensitive data. Third, you spin up a smaller pilot program for the private Fortress, specifically to crack that tough nut of offline maintenance. Fourth, you build out that intelligent Airlock because it helps secure everything. And finally, and this is crucial, you have to update your training so your people know how to operate and secure these new systems. And that brings us to the final thought here. This entire blueprint was designed with national security in mind. But the underlying logic, it's universal. It's a practical strategy that perfectly balances the need for cutting-edge innovation with the demand for rock-solid security. So the big question we're left with is this. Is this tiered, data-aware approach the future for not just defense, but for any industry that runs on secrets, from banking and finance to healthcare and R&D?